Do you guys often struggle with fatting or thinning chips around the green and constantly losing strokes around the greens? I have a very simple and easy chipping method that I have implemented that has helped me shave numerous strokes off my game every single round. I'm here to show it with you guys today. So the reason why this chipping method works so well is because I've learned how to eliminate all the variables. If you think about all your body parts, every body part's a variable. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to eliminate the variables and use the big muscles in our body to make the motion. You'll see some people, they're very handsy. They'll address something like this, legs apart, and then you can see they're instantly cocking their wrists, their lower half of their body's moving, and then that's where they're getting the inconsistent strikes from. But with my chipping method here, we preset everything, and then we just use the big muscles like our chest to then hit the ball. Key setup points here is we're gonna set up with our legs narrow, and this is gonna eliminate the movement of our lower body because we don't need it, because we're only chipping to something that's like 5 to 15 yards away. So we don't need our legs to generate speed or power here. And then second of all, the ball for the most part is always gonna be near our back foot. If you have green to work with, the back foot ball position is great, but if you need to get over an obstacle like a bunker or sprinkler head, then this technique is so simple because we don't have to change anything other than ball position, and that will allow us just to get a little bit more height. And I generally always chip with my sandwich, my 54 degree, but again, like if I have lots of green to work with and the pin is quite a ways back, then I definitely do the exact same motion just with a 50 degree, but I'll get more into like shot selection, club selection later on. So again, we'll adjust the ball, kind of a narrow stance, ball off the inside of our back foot. And I love to do a preset forward press like this. So now, and the club face is always going to be slightly open to help with that turf interaction. Now, once we're set like this, all I feel like is I'm just turning my chest. I'm just going from here to there. And now you can see that like there's no added wrist movement, you know. I'm not cocking here because this is where people go wrong. If they set up more straight and then take it back but cock it, and if they were to turn again, look, that club's nowhere near the ground now. But if we set up like this with a little bit of forward press and we turn and we keep that angle, we're coming into the ball at the exact same position that we took the club back from. So I'll just show you a little chip here. Stance is slightly open, feet are close together. I'm presetting everything, and I'm just thinking about turning my chest. And that was great contact. Like honestly, just absolutely perfect. We're using range balls, so they're not gonna spin a whole lot, but that's exactly what I was going for. So you definitely wanna focus on keeping your lower body stable. As the yardage increases, you can slowly start to open up your legs. Like if you have something more like a 30-yard pitch or something, that's when you can slowly start to open up the legs to allow yourself to produce a little bit more of a turn and a little bit more power through the ball. Another key takeaway and point here is so many people are trying to help the ball up or like scoop it, or they're getting handsy, and that's like that all stems from a fear of chunking or thinning it. What we need to do is we need to be striking down on the ball, and that's why this setup is so great, because when we're using the big muscles on our body and we have the club face slightly open, when we're coming down into impact at the ball, even if we catch it a little bit behind, because we're using the big parts of the body, we're gonna still get through it, you know? Other people that come in with a square club face and they're using their hands, that's when it just digs and stops and you duff it right in front of your toes. And same thing, that's also when sometimes it just completely skips and then you catch it thin and you blade over the back of the green as well. So again, the biggest thing is eliminating the variables and just using the big parts of our body here. And now if I want to go a little bit higher with this, setup's the exact same, still my feet are close together, but I'm just moving the ball position forward and that club face is still slightly more open, and you should see a little bit of a higher ball flight here. And my weight is probably 75% on my front foot. This helps us create that downward angle of attack that we're looking for. See, so we're into the grain here, and I definitely caught that a little heavy, but because of this technique, the ball's, I'm 5 feet short. I have a great look at par still, you know? And if I hit that square or using my hands, I would have duffed it right to there. So that's just a great example of why this technique works, because honestly, I know my short game level is around scratch or better, but I promise you, I don't hit every chip shot perfect. I get away with a lot of kind of chunking or thinning ones, because my arc control with this setup allows me to always have such a tighter window of where my low point is. And because I'm using the big parts of my body, I'm always still getting through the ball. So I'll do another high one here. You can see that one comes off a lot higher. Again, it's not spinning because they're just cheap little range balls, and now we can instantly just grab a different club, create a completely different shot for ourselves. So most people have a gap wedge, sand wedge, and a lob wedge. Like I said earlier, I highly just always recommend chipping with a sand wedge and keeping it consistent around the green, unless, is something in your way like a bunker, or maybe you have a really long chip, and then for the long chip you can go down to a 50 degree. For getting over an obstacle, maybe you can go to your 60. Nothing changes in regards to our setup here. So I have my 60 now. The one thing I need to learn is that I got to hit it quite a bit harder to get it there with a lob wedge. That might go in. Okay, and now that's just a nice easy tap in par there. And again, to get a little bit higher, we'll just open up that club face. I'm still making that motion. I'm still pre-setting my wrist, and I'm just turning with my chest down and through. So just hit the ball with your chest. And those two both ended up within tapping range. And again, I'm into the green. Like, this is not an easy shot, actually. I have lots of green to work with. I never normally grab a 60 degree. This is exactly where I probably would actually go down to my 50 degree and play something off the back foot here. Again, even though it's a 50 degree, opening up the club face a little bit. I ran out a little bit more than I wanted, but nonetheless, I have a putt at par still versus blading something over the back of the green and still trying to have to get up and down for bogey or worse now. Give you guys a couple face-on shots here of kind of the setup and everything and the motion. I'm addressing the ball. I'm picking my spot roughly where I want to land it. I come up to the ball and I'm taking 2 practice swings, feeling that turf, feeling that sound, trying to hit the same spot and feeling the pace I want. Again, stance is close. My feet are close together, but I'm open. This allows me to turn through the ball. And that contact just sounds so good. Like, so good. And this just starts to give you confidence. Like, it's such an easy motion. You can see if I set with my legs apart, my club shaft just going straight down, it's a lot harder to be consistent with it. I mean, I kind of made that work, but you can see how much more my body's moving. And again, that's just variables. It's inconsistencies, and it makes it so much easier to hit a bad shot. If you're trying to get over a bunker, it's so much better to get the ball over the bunker versus, leave it short into it. So even if you need to go high, I still highly recommend using your sand wedge versus your lob wedge, because if you do decel a little bit, having a little less loft is going to allow that ball to come out a little bit hotter still and get you at least over the bunker. And then, maybe you have a 25-foot putt at par now versus, being in a bunker short-sided. So here's another low one with the 50 degree. I just love the sound of that contact, and it's so easy, guys. So the last little tip I want to help you guys with is, if you are a mid to high handicap, I guarantee you have a problem with, even if you're making good contact with the ball when you're chipping, you're probably leaving the ball short a lot of times due to fear of going long, or again, still just duffing it. There's a lot of decel going on. So what I want you guys to do is sacrifice your next round and just go out there with the intention of getting the ball past the hole every single time when you're chipping. Doesn't matter if it leaves you in a poor position with a downhill tickler, putt for par. That's not the point. We're not actually worried about our score here. We're just worried about getting good contact and getting the ball past the hole. So then when you are playing a round where you are worried about your score, you've developed a bit more feel for what it takes to get the ball there. And then you can just dial that back a little bit, and you'll find yourself leaving the ball in much better positions. And I just want the ball past the hole. Getting the ball past the hole is all I care about. So I landed that just short of the hole. It released out, 15 feet or whatever. Obviously not something I'd want to look for in a real round, but getting over that fear of coming up short, that's exactly what we want. Just to kind of show you guys the height that you can still get with like a sand wedge versus like a lob wedge. With this setup, you can open up your legs a little bit more for this one and drop the hands, but then the motion's still the same from there. And you can add a little bit more hinge at the top, and this will allow the ball to just pop up quite a bit more for you. And that even landed quite soft for a sand wedge with these range balls. So, and always practice out of like bad lies too. Like there's kind of like a dead sandy patch here. And this is how you will get good at chipping. Once you kind of get the motion dialed in, I highly recommend just hitting a ton of chips from poor areas. And this will really force you to learn like good contact. And then when you're playing on the course and you have a good lie, then it just seems so effortless. So yeah, that lie, I would take a 5-foot putt from there every single day of the week when I'm actually playing around. So I hope this video helped you guys. Again, the main thing is just eliminating all the variables and using the big parts of our body to hit these chips. And with one motion, we have so many different shots we can hit. We can hit high, medium, low, just by switching between our 3 wedges and just by changing ball position from front foot to back foot. We never want the ball in the middle, and keeping our weight forward to promote that downward angle of attack strike. And keeping that club face always open. Again, you can play around with it. Like if you want to go higher, just open up that club face a little bit more and just commit to the shot, guys. So thank you guys for watching. I hope this helped.